is what it's all about. I freaking love finding stuff like that. It's just like a Kinder Surprise. You open it up, you don't know what you're going to get. Most of the time you get slightly disappointed, and then sometimes you get something that makes your heart race just that little bit faster and lets you know that you're alive. What's up guys, Chris here from Vo-Gus Prospecting. If you're new to the channel, a big warm welcome, and if you're a old moldy hat like the one I'm wearing now, welcome back. This is an old dredge hole out in the middle of the bush. That is pretty freaking epic. Look at the size of that thing. It is massive. A lot of work went into getting gold out of the ground here, a lot. On this adventure I take you to an amazing spot that's yielded us 8 gold nuggets, and it gives up even more gold on this trip, including a beautiful reef specimen. But first, so the first place we're stopping today is out with Jed. Now Jed has a beautiful place that basically has a lot of relics that we're going to go start hunting for before we move on and find gold. And I wanted to show you some of the coolest relics in Australia right now. This is what they pulled out just a couple of days ago. These are Chinese coins, and they are literally 400 years old. They were made between 1662 and 1722, and to find these sort of things in Australia is amazing. I'm sure there are a dime a dozen over in China, but these traveled across the ocean on a little wooden boat for someone to come and strike it rich on the Aussie goldfield. So to find that, man, is absolutely awesome. Jed's property sits in the middle of old Chinese alluvial workings which were later dredged with a bucket line by Europeans. Not only did we find those old Chinese coins, but many relics of heavy industry that you usually associate with the gold rush that happened here between 1850 and the 1900s. Jed just found a ripper tooth by the looks of it off what we suspect is a dozer. It could be any kind of farm equipment that they use to get the gold out of the ground, but that's definitely a ripper tooth. Yeah. There you go. What a monster, you found 2 of them too. Yeah. We have taken several samples of dirt home to see what kind of gold was sitting where the bucket dredge didn't touch, and we found numerous high spec counts in all of that alluvial wash, and this property is going to get a lot more interest from us over the next couple of years, obviously with Jed's helping hand. I thought this might be of interest to many people simply because of the research factor. There isn't a day that goes by where I don't get asked about how I find my spots, and I have to say it's equal parts research and field work, but also social networking. I had discovered this creek in this alluvial field some time ago. Some 3 years have passed since I found out about it, but I was unable to access it due to the private property surrounding the alluvial field. It wasn't until Mick met Jed and we did a bit of social networking and we've managed to find some access to it. So finding spots is not just about going out and test panning, it's not just about reading up on old newspaper reports, it's also about who you know. So make sure you get out there and don't be afraid to introduce yourself on the creek, because you'll never know who you'll meet. Now my strange headdress is to protect me from all the flies because it's Australia and there's about 60 million of them per person. We're going to head off to the next spot, which is where I've been finding all those beautiful gold nuggets most recently. We made it to the next site and we picked Josh up, and he's got fancy new hat and a fancy new scar. These are his things. Just behind me here is the spot that I was working where I found 7 beautiful nuggets in a very small space, as you can see, with the SDC, and just spending a bit of time crevicing in and around those targets with my gold pan. And the reason I'm back here, even though I've gone over all of the bedrock with the SDC and the gold monster multiple times, is that by removing more grass and removing more overburdened gravel, you'll likely find even more gold. And the type of gold that was here is incredibly different to the rest of the creek. My hunch says that the floods we had last December washed out an old river gravel deposit and concentrated it on this corner. So eventually I'm hoping to follow the gold back to where this old deposit may be. At this stage it's all conjecture. I don't 100% know, but that's what prospecting is about, trying to figure out if it is right, that theory that you have. Ooh yeah, Yeah, we've got gold. We've got gold. All right, let me tidy it up and show you. That's the gold we got out of the first half unclassified pan from the spot that I pulled out that 0.65 gram nugget. Now, there's easily a couple hundred specks of micro gold in there and some very nice roly-poly bits, which is exactly the type of gold that I was expecting given how much of this sort of gold I pulled out from here. We're going to keep panning. I want to clear as much grass and overburden off as possible so I can eventually turn the SDC on and go over the bedrock to see if we can't find any more delicious boogers. Oh, I like seeing pans like that. It's not terribly often you get pans with bits that big in them with that many specks. Normally you can get like a few of those flakes and then a heap of micros, but not like that. They're good. This is what it's all about. I freaking love finding stuff like that. It's just like a Kinder Surprise. You open up, you don't know what you're going to get. Most of the time you get slightly disappointed, and then sometimes you get something that makes your heart race just that little bit faster and lets you know that you're alive. The first three pans I took out were from right here, and we got really nice consistent gold all off the bedrock there. My last pan came out from this little crevice that we've got running in down here, and this is a sheer vertical wall, and we got a mixture of this dirt and that dirt together, and that's what yielded our best specs. Now the question is the gold shedding out of this, or is it all concentrated on here? So my next pan is going to be taken of just this stuff up here to identify which way I should be digging. Given the consistency of the gold that we'd so far collected, this result shows me that it's definitely not shedding out of the bank directly next to that bench, because we only got one tiny flake, and that is not a good representation of the pans we were getting, which ultimately means that the gold is shedding from somewhere further upstream. But I can't leave this deposit alone because there's too much good gold in the ground for me to just walk away from it at this stage. That gold is going to be waiting for me upstream at a later date. Grizz, what do you think of the progress we've made so far? Does it look good? The very second I hit the bedrock, I start finding good gold. It's definitely not in the top fluffy stuff where all the grass is. You've got to break that bedrock up. I've got probably one more pan that I want to take out of this area before I call it done and run the SDC over it. And in that second last pan, I pulled out a specimen. Have a look at that. I haven't even finished panning this pan off. A nice tail of gold leading me into that beautiful chunk of gold. Hot diggity damn. Look at that. That's straight off a reef. That is 100% off a reef. While Josh continues to dedicatedly work at the spot that we're getting a nice signal from the SDC, I have packed it in for the day because I'm pretty tired. This is all the gold that we got for today.
This is all the gold you got.
Yeah. This is all the gold I got for today, including a beautiful little specimen and a booger of a picker, which is awesome because this spot has just kept giving. We have, however, extensively quite worked all of this bedrock, so you know, there's probably going to be a couple little pieces here and there, but I think we've done a pretty good job at vacuuming up all that gold. I'm going to take you guys home and we're going to weigh the gold together to see just how much we got for a few pans today. So until then, I'm just going to safely put you in here. There you are. Now that I've finally got you guys home and I've checked my mustache for crumbs, we're going to show you the amazing amount of gold we pulled from that tiny little patch of dirt. This is all the gold that we got for about 2 hours worth of panning on that outside bend. Let's see it next to a Clash Guitars pick for scale. Nice! Now this gold is not including this beautiful little specimen. We're not going to include this as part of the weight because of the quartz that's in it. We could do a specific gravity test, although given the size of it, it's not really worth it. And whilst that might be impressive, this is the other gold that we pulled off that same outside bend. I've linked that video in the description so you can see me finding it. And for a little bit more scale, we'll bring Kleshy Boy back in. The biggest nugget I pulled off that outside bend was a little under a gram, I believe, which is a huge chunk for that creek. Normally, in that creek, we deal with super fine flour gold, and that is anything but. Now we've got the scales teared off, we're just going to weigh everything except for that specimen, which we'll do on its own. That's what I love about coarse gold, 0.84. There's not overly many pieces of gold in there, and to get over 3/4 of a gram from few pans and few specks is amazing. We're going to take this gold, add it to the other gold that I've already pulled off that corner, and see how much we got from that deposit in total. Once again, the only thing we're not doing is weighing the specimens because I don't want that quartz weight involved in the total gold take. Okay, we're going to call that 4 grams on the nose. 4 grams. 4 grams of gold, and we pulled that off the outside bend. Look at those nuggets. And you know, this is a really important lesson for a lot of people, is that the outside bend is usually where your really big gold is going to be hiding. 4 grams of alluvial gold is absolutely amazing when you consider all I did was pan and a little bit of metal detecting. In today's money, that's worth approximately 280 Australian dollars for just a couple of hours worth of panning. A couple of things to take away from this is don't be afraid to check places that gold isn't traditionally said to be, such as the outside bend. The heavier the gold, the denser it is, and the denser it is, the less likely it's going to want to curve around a corner. It's going to want to go straight. I wanted to give a massive shout out to the Real Fire Service, who are actively fighting massive bushfires all across New South Wales. These are volunteers who do it without pay, even though they really should be paid for the danger that they put themselves in to protect other people's lives and property. Most of them are doing it for a sandwich, a cup of tea, and a pat on the back, which is absolutely amazing. If you want to help them out, there's some links in the description that will take you to pages that will fund support to both these bushfire affected areas and to the Real Fire Service. If you've liked this video, there's a good chance that you'll like other videos that are on my channel, so please hit that subscribe button. It doesn't cost anything to join the channel, and it'll give you an opportunity to get involved with some fantastic content and some of the giveaways that we're doing in the future. A like, share and subscribe also go a long way to helping me grow the channel bigger and better for you guys, so I can do more giveaways and get out on the creek and do more videos. So until next time guys, I hope to see you out in the creek. Give your dog a pat for me. Peace, and I am out.
Wire. Love that wire.
He's in love with the wire.